Welcome to another episode of the official Preston North End podcast. This is PNE Pod. My name's Niall McCorn.
And I'm Neil Mellor. We'll be talking to some PNE legends, some first team players, some famous fans, and some former teammates of mine.
And it is a first team player who we're chatting to today because we've got PNE defender Greg Cunningham on the show.
And he wasn't always a defender. He tells us, and he's very honest, what position he actually was when he came over to England.
And he's played under some amazing managers, Sven-Göran Eriksson, Roberto Mancini. Just to let you know that there is a little bit of squeamish content in this podcast. Greg talks about one of the serious injuries that he's got, so just a little warning. And don't forget to hit subscribe as well or follow wherever you listen to podcasts, and that way you'll never miss an episode of PNE Pod again. But without further ado, let's hear from PNE first team player Greg Cunningham. So our next guest on PNE Pod is Greg Cunningham, and we're recording this the day after the big win at home to Huddersfield. How are the legs this morning, mate?
Yeah, they're not too bad. I'll be feeling it later, but I'll be in my Normatex for the day, so should be okay.
Are you suggesting he's a bit of an old man now?
Not really.
Well, the minute you
Just
turn
saying, it was
30
a hard
you're an old man.
4-1 win. I mean,
He's in his 30s, that's all.
you said
early
it.
30s.
You said it, not me. I guess you class yourself as one of the more experienced players now. You've been at a number of clubs. You've played in the Championship loads. So I guess you feel like you can offer that to the group.
Yeah, I can. I think that's part of me as a person as well, that if there's anything I can help players coming through or anything, I'm here for it. And I think it's the role as a senior player to make sure that you can kind of give your experience off to younger boys and help them in any way you can.
Who were some of the other senior boys in that dressing room with you?
Ched's there, Brownie's there, Robbie. To be fair, for considering there's a few kind of, I wouldn't say young squad, but like, you know, mid-20s, boys are quite experienced for their age. But you're probably talking about that, like I'm quite vocal in the changing room in different ways. So yeah, Skip, Ched, Robbie's quite vocal as well. But yeah, that's probably...
You're one of the characters in there.
I'm probably just the loudest. Like you probably ask different people that have different opinions on me, but yeah, I probably am the loudest. Like I think the way seasons go in football, like it's so up and down that it's important to kind of keep morale as high as you can and make sure that there's kind of a good atmosphere around the place when results aren't going your way, and then when they are going your way, it's important to kind of make sure you're keeping that momentum going. So I try and keep things as lively as possible around the changing room.
By doing what?
No. I never get any stories out of me. I don't do podcasts over here, but
Hey, I've lived with Irish men before as a young player. I know what you're like.
quite PG, but it's good to just have a laugh and a joke and that. And then when times are serious, they're serious. But you know, it's about enjoying having the best job in the world. You know, the old cliche.
I never got to play after 30. You're in your 30s. Does the manager come to you as an experienced player at times and sort of see how it is, because you're a big character in the dressing room?
Yeah, I think with the squad we have, there's so much togetherness that your gaffer can go around to everyone and get kind of similar answers on how everyone's feeling. I think at this club at the minute, the dressing room runs itself with regards to, I suppose, the ethos of what we're about in there. You know, the roles, responsibilities of players, discipline, attitude, application, all that is driven, you know, within the change room. The gaffer allows that and encourages that. So, you know, we hold our meetings every now and then in the change room to see how we're all feeling, how we're all doing and stuff, and constantly kind of looking at the next step to drive the club and the squad forward.
Good Irish connection at North End as well. Yourself,
they're always
Brownie,
helping, yeah.
Will Keane.
Yeah. There's been a lot over the years. I always say the more the merrier. You know, we create a nice kind of dynamic to a change room, I suppose.
I mean, growing up in Galway, you left for Manchester City quite young to start your career in English football. Was that tough to leave home at that age, or was that something you were comfortable with at the time?
I was quite comfortable. I look back now, 16's quite young, and I know with Brexit and that, players can't get across now until they're 18 or over. So that's kind of changed again, the whole approach of Irish players going abroad.
Don't the Irish boys come a year earlier? Don't you finish school earlier than us in England?
Yeah, so what usually happens is the equivalent of kind of players that do their GCSEs but I came across at 16, so I did my first year of a 2-year kind of course, which kind of be equivalent to A levels. So I did my first year of the Leaving Cert, and that was one of the main reasons I went to Man City, before the money, might I add. They could do the education part, where my parents were really focused on I finished my education, because the amount of people that go across and the amount of people that make it is quite low. So if it's a case where I'd signed a 3-year deal at Man City, if it didn't work out, I would be maybe a couple of years behind my classmates at uni. So Man City could do the education part, where when I had narrowed it down after your trials and stuff.
Come on, who were the other clubs? Narrowed it down. It sounded like there's a few after you.
It was Celtic, Newcastle, and Man City. And Man City were the only ones that could do the Irish Leaving Cert education part. So they came over and met my school. I got tutors for when the boys would do their BTEC, or some would go to the college and do A levels. I did my tuition for my Leaving Cert, and then I sat it then the following summer. So I think that kept me quite focused as well, where I didn't have a lot of idle time, because after training, and especially in the academy, you're doing double days, so you're finishing about 4ish anyways. Get back to the digs, you have some dinner, and then I had, whether it was on Skype, I had Irish grinds or maths or whatever, or the tuition would come to the house. And that kind of kept me focused in a sense, where I didn't have time to think about being homesick or being away from everyone and missing out and stuff. And I was quite focused from young, like, to make sure that I'll give it everything. And if it didn't work out, it wasn't down to lack of discipline or application or whatever. And that's kind of the way it's gone.
Who were some of the lads in that youth team with you at City at the time?
I had Kieran Trippier was with us, Dedrick Boyata, played for Celtic, Union Berlin.
Wasn't he a Belgian international?
Yeah. Robbie Mack, Slovakian striker. Andrew Tutt, lived in digs with him.
Yeah.
Scouts fella.
Yeah. So Trippier's the big name straight away.
Trippier's a big one, yeah.
You keep in touch.
And Dedrick, like, yeah. Well, everything we'd say the last time I probably saw him was when we played Spurs when I was at Cardiff. Had a good catch up, and you know the way football goes. Like, I think.
Yeah. Youth team's different.
Yeah.
I think youth team, because you sort of really get strong relationships.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, because you're in the trenches at a young age, and I suppose everyone's got that goal, and there is, I suppose, a lot of camaraderie, but.
So that's quite a few to come through, because a lot of youth teams don't get as many as that comes through.
Yeah, but even the year before, like, Ben Mee was the captain of that FA Youth Cup winning team.
Forget Ben Mee was at City. Just think Burnley,
they brought through a lot of players, like. And me and Ched always talk about, because obviously Ched was at City as well, like, so when we're having a few chats and that, the nostalgia comes back about those kind of older days, which is a couple of years ago now.
So when you stepped forward and training with the first team, City were nowhere near the side they were now, are they?
No, nowhere near, but they started to get the money in. So every kind of transfer window or summer break, you'd come back and Carrington would be done up, or the new players would be come in. I think Robinho was kind of one of the main kind of ones that come in, and then they start rolling in the door. Tevez, Nigel de Jong,
Balotelli.
Torre, Balotelli. All those are in. And
are you made up, or are you thinking, hang on, don't forget me?
I probably didn't soak it up as much at the time. I think you're just kind of rolling with it. I think that's the way I've always been as a person. I don't kind of overthink too much and just kind of roll with how things are going to a certain degree. But
what players were in your position? Who was there?
Clichy was there, Kolarov.
Okay, yeah.
Silvino was there, Wayne Bridge. So there was a lot of
international
top class left back. So you're kind of your minutes are limited, like, even coming through. But just trying to soak up as much as you could. Like, had a couple of pre-seasons with them and that, which was.
Did you like any of them? Because of someone in your position, you get on with someone.
You're a kid, like, at the same time, and these are, like you said, world-class players. So your place.
No. I said internationals. I never said world-class players. You said that.
Game of opinions football, isn't it? But it's just, I think looking back, it was quite cool, and they were really nice to everyone around the place. There was one fella, actually, Martin Petrov. Remember the winger?
Yeah.
He
was Bulgarian? Was he Bulgarian?
Yeah,
right, okay.
He was probably the only one that just didn't, like, he'd walk past you like you weren't there.
Blanked you.
Yeah, just one of those. And it was, when we go up to the res, it was always like, you'd have to obviously be polite and say good morning and stuff like that. So you'd say, oh, morning, Martin, whatever, and just straight past you. See. But then probably he would have been the only real one. All the other them were really, really good to the young boys and stuff. And then we go up obviously training with the first team and stuff, because raised in first team are obviously same complex, so depending on numbers and that, and then you kind of go up there on a regular basis and stuff. And yeah, it was cool.
Debut against Scunthorpe in the FA Cup. Did Petrov play? Did he blank you that day?
No, I think he was gone. He was gone by then. But I remember that day because I'd been in the squads just before or just after Christmas. It was Mark Hughes' his last game in charge. And then Berto Mancini came in and kind of still been around the squads. And it was a case where you're not in the squad, so where do we go and sit in that? So into the changing room at Scunthorpe, and was kind of saying like, oh, what's the story in that? So I've just gone to the manager and said, oh, boss, like, where will I go and stuff? And he was like, oh, you're on the bench. I was thinking,
so this is Mancini.
This is Mancini, yeah. So on a bench, buzzing, and then halftime told to get warm, and yeah, you just.
So you've not really had a chance to tell your family or friends tickets?
No, they were all like they'd all just be watching anyways. Like I think it was on ITV. So they all would have been watching and come on at halftime, yellow card on 46, and then you just kind of roll from there. Like so.
You get beat. What was the score?
3-1 or 4-1, 4-2, something like that.
I think it was 4-2. I was looking into
4-2,
this.
yeah.
And you came on for Nigel de Jong, I believe.
Yeah. All right. There you go.
Not bad.
Came on at 4-0. It finished 4-2.
Yeah. That's why the minutes were limited. But no, it was a dream come true, and yeah, that's the only way to describe it, really. You know, I think.
Did you keep the shirt? Did you get it signed?
Yeah. It's no, I kept it. I've been so bad for.
What was your number? What was your squad number?
45. And then it got taken off me by Batelli.
Oh, Batelli took it off.
Yeah,
he said I want that number.
Yeah, he said he'd come in like once. So I was like, yeah, listen.
What was he like? Because we've heard some mad stories over the years about Mario Balotelli with all the fireworks and everything like that.
Probably just a young kid on serious amount of money, like. But as far as a person, he was a really nice fella.
Did he ask you for the number, or did someone else say?
Just kind of like the club had kind of said it, but he wasn't stepping on toes and just said like if it's available.
It's like it's not. I've got it.
And again, you're like, this fella's coming in for X amount of money. It's probably asked in a question that there's only one answer. Yeah. So it's like, oh, listen, do you mind? And then if you say, well, yeah, I kind of do. It's like, all right, no problem. Well, we're giving him it anyway. So. It was grand. It was like,
what did you get? What number did you get after?
It's quite embarrassing. So I ended up getting 22, and then Gail Clichy came in shortly after,
and he took it off you.
And I actually said, like, listen, I'm not being funny here, but I backed myself a little bit, and I said, listen, I'm a left back. You're bringing in a left back. He's taking my number or whatever. So. I mean, it didn't work out. He got the number, like, and then I was pushed to 33, and that was kind of the way it was.
Are you superstitious with numbers? Because I know some players are, aren't they? They're really
I like
bothered.
3. I'm kind of old school in a sense of like the 1 to 11 kind of thing. But I was a striker back in the day, and then you slowly get shifted back.
Why didn't you carry on being a striker?
Couldn't hit a barn door. I don't know. Just it was the academy year where.
City signed you as a left back, not a striker.
No, signed a striker.
They signed you as a striker.
Signed a striker, and then academy year I played like a 4-3-3, so I played left. And then in my academy year, the left back got injured in pre-season, and academy manager asked me would I fill in. I think there's only 2 left footers at the time.
What are you thinking now? I don't want to play left back.
I was like left back, and I said I think it was like Crewe at Alsager, because I used to go to Alsager University for pre-season. Quite grounding, like, and you stay in the dorms and that. It was good. And then I played left back for 1 game, and he was like, do you know what? We like you there. So I was thinking, oh, right. So then he swapped. The left back went to kind of left wing, and I went back to left back. And he was like, I like your height back there. So I was like, fine. And then that's kind of where it started. And
Neil Mellor scored. Preston take the lead. And that's exactly what it means to Neil Mellor to score in the West Lancashire derby.